Alrighty, we can go ahead and get started. The way this is going to work, I'm going to do a short presentation about the school, and then we are going to let our student panelists talk a little bit more. So I'll facilitate by asking them different questions. We got a few submissions, so we'll do our best to answer um, all of the questions we can. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Can everyone see this?
I can see it.
Awesome. Alrighty, well, I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Dylan Huffpower, and I am the Marketing and Admissions Coordinator at the Tulane School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. So I work with our incoming prospective students and our current students as well on all of our outward and inward facing recruitment events. I work with prospective students to get your questions answered and to kind of filter you into the departments that you guys are interested in. So events like this one, like what's happening today, all sorts of different recruiting events. And today I'm going to do a short presentation about the school, but I think you guys really want to hear from the current students and not from me. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to talk a little bit about the school as far as sizes. I'm going to kind of touch on the departments, but what I would suggest, and I'll put the link in the chat a little bit later, is signing up for one of the department sessions that are happening tomorrow if you want to learn more about the departments. So today we're going to talk more about the school and the student experience, and our panelists will likely talk about their specific departments because that is their student experience. But to get some more specific questions answered, if we can't today, the department sessions are pretty much all happening tomorrow. All right, so let's get right into it. A little bit about the school. We are the first school of public health in the country. So we were founded in 1912, which makes us the first. We're accredited by the CEPH, and that's obviously going to add value to your degree. The 2021 US News Rankings recently came out, and we are in the top 13. So we're 13th out of 176 schools, which is a great rank to be. Our MHA program is 17th, and Tulane as a university, so including undergraduate and all campuses for Tulane, is 41st. So those are all really, really great rankings to be at if you were wondering about where our school stands. As far as students, we have 590 BSPH, which are undergraduate students pursuing the bachelor's program. We have 911 enrolled graduate students, 117 doctoral students. Our students in our graduate program and our PhD program at the School of Public Health represent 48 different states, and 9.5%, so almost 10% of our students at the graduate level are international students. So we've got a really diverse undergraduate, graduate, and PhD student body, which is really cool. Our faculty is one of the largest, as one of the largest schools in the country. We have a great faculty and staff, and it's a pretty big one. We have more than 120 full-time faculty members, and these are engaged in that scholarly activity, and it's covering the full range of public health issues and activities going on, not in New Orleans, but globally. Not only in New Orleans, but also globally. We have, and you can see those numbers down there, 81, about 81. These numbers are from this past cycle, but 81 in tenure track ranks, 27 clinical facility, 13 research faculty, and 2 professors of practice. So our faculty are very hands-on. Whenever you come to Tulane, and specifically our graduate program, you are assigned a faculty contact, and that person kind of sticks with you throughout your degree, and they help you map out when you're going to take what classes, what is your degree going to look like. They're there to connect you with other members of the school, whether that's other faculty members or staff members, if you're interested in a specific type of research or a specific area. If you need help with networking within the school as far as meeting with other staff members in the student services area or the student experience area, maybe within admissions, your faculty contact is also going to help you out. So just because you have one faculty contact doesn't mean that you can't interact with other faculty members or assist in research for other faculty members. But your faculty contact is kind of like your primary source of knowledge of the school. And if they can't answer a specific question, then they can point you in the right direction to get that answered. The next thing I want to go into, probably another thing that is on you guys' mind, are our departments, areas of study, the different degrees and things that you can pursue at our school. So we have 6 different departments. We have epidemiology, biostatistics and data science, environmental health sciences, tropical medicine, global community health and behavioral sciences, and health policy and management. So as of now, these are our 6 departments, and within each department, you can see the bullet points are different areas of focus, different academic areas that you can pursue as an SPHTM student. So another note that I would like to talk about is starting sometime in the near future, the global community health and behavioral sciences department will kind of be splitting and morphing into 2 newer departments. So if GCHB is one of our departments that you're interested in, I really, really encourage you to register, which I can send the link, but to register for their departmental session, which is happening tomorrow. As of now, our other departments are not going to be changing, but GCHB is going to be changing in the near future. So that might provide some additional opportunities or different opportunities if you're interested in that department. One big piece of advice that I give to our prospective students is one of the most productive things you can do as an applicant and as someone who is going to soon be applying, or if you're currently working on your application, is to get to know someone in the department. So each department has a program manager, and that program manager is a staff member who can connect you to any faculty member within the department. So on the admissions committee, it'll be a group of faculty and staff members from each department that review your application for that specific department or for whatever department you indicate on your application that you'd like to pursue study in. And so I think that gives you a little bit of an edge if you get to know the faculty members or a staff member or the program manager, you'll be on their mind. And so when it comes time for them to review your application, they'll know a little bit more about you as a person versus just someone on paper. Also, each department is looking for different pieces to their own puzzle whenever you are applying, right? So the admissions committee within the biostats and data science department may be looking for different things in an applicant than someone in health policy and management. So it's always a great job to do that. And the first step is to attend their departmental breakout session, because then you'll get to know more about the department and then you'll have a better idea of what questions to ask. After you attend that breakout session, then it's time to reach out to the program manager or the faculty member of your choosing, which you can find everyone's email addresses on our website. Once you reach out to them, you can just let them know that you attended their department breakout session, you were very interested in the department, and you liked X, Y, and Z about what they had to say about their research. And once you make that connection of how you got to know them and your interest in the department, it becomes a lot easier for you to get to know more about the department and for them to get to know you as an applicant or a potential applicant. So that's something really important, is getting to know them even though you're not a current student just yet. Student organizations and interest groups. So just as I was talking about our faculty members being very hands-on and really having those working relationships with our current students really are the ones who drive the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine at Tulane. It's very student-led. We have multiple student organizations that you can join and be a part of. And our student panelists today will obviously have more things to say about possibly their student involvement and things of that nature. But I did want to point out on this slide that our students are very responsible in the sense of making themselves a more diverse candidate as a young professional once you leave our school and once you graduate and move on. So it's one thing to have your master's and to have your academic experience, but what would really set you apart is having research experience in addition to student involvement on campus, what kind of change were you a part of? Were you a part of changing yourself and your community around you while you're in school? And you can do that through joining student organizations like the ones listed here. And these are also on our website too. If any of the names pop out to you, you can always go to our website, the homepage, and then click the student drop down, and you'll see the involvement. Continuing to move forward, we have the Global Scholars Program and EPCV Fulbright Scholarship Program. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Coverdale Fellowship Program, or Coverdale Fellow Program. So this will fund 3 students who are returned Peace Corps volunteers who support our Global Scholars Program. And the Global Scholars Program is a very diverse and dynamic cohort of a peer group of students who are in the school. And they basically will provide support for students who are interested in working internationally or researching internationally. So there'll be monthly seminars, service projects, research opportunities, different networking events, one-on-one support for those students who have already returned from the Peace Corps, and have worked or researched internationally. So the Coverdale is going to be for 3 students who are a part of that support for the Global Scholars Program, and anyone can join the Global Scholars Program by becoming an active member and being involved with, the monthly seminars and different events happening. The Fulbright Scholarship Program for spring 2021. This makes graduate study more accessible to U.S. Peace Corps volunteers and Fulbright grantees who were maybe sent back early from international placements because of COVID. So you can always send us an email if you're in a similar situation. One of my favorite things about the school is the Career Studio, which is made up of Catherine Gergen and Abby Lukens. Catherine and Abby are absolutely great. All of our students love them. So our Career Studio is in our building. It's on the 12th floor. It's the same floor that you guys have all of your in-person classes for those students who are electing to have in-person classes. And it offers some really cool things. So if you want to come into the Career Studio and you want to redo your LinkedIn account and you want to revamp your resume and you need help writing your cover letter, they will have a one-on-one session where they can do all of the above, maybe not in that one session, but they will take their time with you to make sure that you feel as ready as you possibly can when it comes time to apply for jobs. Because oftentimes when you get to the master's level, you have furthered your education, you might have more work experience, but how do we put that on paper to compete against those other applicants that will also have similar experiences? So they're there to really help you out and make you the most marketable young professional that you can be once you graduate. They send out weekly career updates, so that might be jobs in the area that are hiring or other cool jobs in public health and tropical medicine that they find, which is really awesome because a lot of our students will see those weekly updates, and that is kind of what connects them to a job that they didn't know was available before. They do a ton of workshops and employer info sessions. Those kind of happen through Handshake. Obviously, a lot of events happening right now are virtual. So Handshake is a really cool program that is their career management system. And it's kind of, you can think of it as a two-way mirror. So you can go in on Handshake and upload information about yourself as a student at Tulane. And then you can view a ton of different employers who have profiles and post job listings on Handshake. On the opposite end of that, employers can look at you as a Tulane student on Handshake as well. So that's a really easy way for you to get involved, to create your Handshake profile, which you'll get once you are a student. And Handshake also helps facilitate events with us as well. Networking with alumni and public health professionals is huge at our school. So we have a very large and vast network of alumni working around the world. And so our students get to interact with those alumni. And oftentimes, I think Catherine and Abby would tell you the same thing. The alumni globally want to hire other alum from the Tulane School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. So it's a really cool network that you're going to graduate into. And more often than not, you'll already have those alumni networks and connections before you even finish your time here at Tulane, which is awesome. So those happen through a lot of virtual events now, obviously, but also some really cool speaker series that will happen on campus during the semester, which is awesome. So every day, Monday through Friday, there's a break in class from noon to 1 so that we can have those speaker series and those different panels so that none of your classes will ever conflict with that. And those will happen in person, hopefully soon, and virtually as well. And I also don't know if I said this, but the Career Studio is they have walk-in hours a lot during the week, but you can also schedule with them virtually and do an appointment in advance if you'd like to do that too. And I'd like to point out in our most recent survey of graduates, we have a 98% rate of our graduates at the School of Public Health having plans for further education or a full-time job upon graduation, which is obviously the goal. So now I kind of want to talk about where our building's located. And this is one of the last few things I'll say because I know you guys really want to hear from the students. But New Orleans is a city of neighborhoods. Obviously, if you've never been to New Orleans, you've probably heard about Southern hospitality. You've probably heard it's very, we have a lot of awesome culture here in the South, the French Quarter, Bourbon Street. There's tons of things to do. But I did want to touch on how New Orleans is kind of made up of a city of neighborhoods. So while we're located in downtown New Orleans on Canal Street is where the Tidewater building is. That's what our building's called. It's in walking distance to the French Quarter, which is obviously really awesome. But our students will live either in our housing, which is an apartment style living situation, and it's just a block away from our building. It's called the Deming Pavilion, or they'll live in an apartment or a rental property or with friends or family that may live here in one of the many neighborhoods around New Orleans. So that's just something I kind of wanted to touch on. And that's another great reason why you should interact with faculty, staff members, and current students from the school, because a lot of our students will find connections and living situations that may work for them through making those connections of people who are already here or who are from here. So the last thing I want to point out is the priority deadline, which is October 15th. So today is the 7th. So that's coming up. That basically means that you will be guaranteed to be considered for scholarships within the school. We do want you to submit by November 15th, which is our general application deadline, and that guarantees that we will be able to review your application in a timely manner to get you an answer so you can get any funding or any financial aid, living situation, making decisions about when to move here, etc. So October 15th is the big one. Really try to get it in before then. And November 15th is the general application deadline that will guarantee that we can review your application in a timely manner. If something happens and November 15th is getting here or it's approaching and you're getting a little bit nervous, please just reach out to us. Then please reach out to us and let us know. Sorry, I see there's a question in the chat. I'm trying to open it. Yes, someone asked, is this deadline for fall or spring? It's for this coming semester for spring 2021. All righty, stop share. So now if my panelists would like to unmute yourselves. And like I said, we have 3 really awesome current students who are going to be our panelists today. They will probably answer some more of your questions that you might have as we go on. So why don't you, one by one, Sarah, I guess you can go first. You're first on my screen if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Sarah Cruthertz. I'm a second year student here, a master's candidate at Tulane School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. I'm in the epidemiology department, and I'm specifically on the Master's of Science track. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, and I got my undergrad degree in medical anthropology on the pre medical track at Baylor University. So.
Awesome.
Okay. Hi, I'm Thrish. I am a second year master's program candidate as well, but I'm on the MPH track for epidemiology. I'm originally from a suburb of Detroit, Michigan, and I did my undergraduate degree in genetics at Michigan State University.
Alrighty, and my name is Daniel Triggs. I'm from Thibodaux, Louisiana. I went to LSU and studied biology with a minor in business administration, and right now I'm studying healthcare administration's master's.
Awesome. I guess we can keep up that order of answering if that works for you guys. The first question I have is probably the most obvious one, and this might help sway some of the students in the group who are listening. But what made you choose Tulane? Was it New Orleans? Was it the specific department that we offered? But what made you choose Tulane and New Orleans, especially if you're not from here?
Sure. Yeah. So for me, it's a combination of all of those things. It's the city, it's the school, it's a lot of different things. But really, what sealed the deal for me, as far as why Tulane, was that I really wanted a school where I could go and get an education, but also have an opportunity to put into practice what I'm learning in the classroom. And so, a city like New Orleans, there's so many places for public health students to get involved even before you graduate. For example, I currently work at a federally qualified health center in the lower Ninth Ward of New Orleans. So yeah, I get to put into practice what I learn in the classroom, and that's why I chose Tulane, because there were so many students and so many professors saying that New Orleans is such a rich city culturally, but also a rich city for opportunities to put into practice what you're learning from Tulane while getting your graduate degree.
Okay. So I actually chose Tulane. So again, part of it was wanting to live in New Orleans. I actually wanted to apply to Tulane back when I was applying for undergrad schools, and I was young and didn't really take applications seriously, so I didn't. So I did have Tulane was on my radar, and it has been for a while. But what really solidified my choice was I was able to meet with a couple of professors actually that I reached out to before I came down to Tulane, and I was able to chat with them, and I liked the research they were doing. And something I'm very interested in is working internationally. And Tulane has an incredible global presence. So I would say that was probably the largest deciding factor for me was the staff here are doing really incredible things, and a lot of them have their hands in a lot of international products or projects. So if that sort of work interests you, I do think Tulane would be a key college to go to.
Alrighty, and with me being from Louisiana, I wanted to stay locally just for like one more degree at least. And Tulane was the only like logical option. I did apply for other programs outside of the state, but Tulane faculty and staff were really responsive to emails and really seemed like they were interested in me.
Awesome. So obviously things are very different right now. So if anyone's wondering, we have a high flex class schedule happening right now. So that basically means that students have the opportunity, if your class is offered in person and online, you have the opportunity to attend in person if you choose to, or you can attend the virtual presentation of that same class. So it's called a high flex. It just means we're being flexible and allowing students to make that decision of if they wanted to come in person. And I believe some classes as well are also only offered virtually right now too, to kind of minimize the amount of people. We've also changed around where classes are held in our building. So we made our gallery into a classroom to give students more space to be socially distanced. We've moved classes that were in smaller rooms on the students' floor, the 12th floor, down to the first floor so that they could have more room for social distancing. But to let everyone know, that's kind of the situation now, and we're anticipating that for the following semester, that it will be something similar. Obviously, fingers crossed that numbers drop and things move in that direction, but we're anticipating that it'll be a high flex type of schedule in the future. But on that note, I wanted to know what you guys think of how the school has handled and approached COVID. Have you gotten to be a part of any cool opportunities or research, or what do you guys think about how Tulane handled it and how things are going in Louisiana and New Orleans?
Yeah, sure. So I actually had the opportunity while I was last semester, kind of when everything started. I was in infectious diseases with Dr. Susan Hassig. It's an epidemiology elective. Even if you're not going into epi, I definitely recommend the class. Dr. Hassig is amazing and has a lot of great information. I think Thrish is in a class with her right now, and she's just fantastic. So, anyways, that was kind of cool to be in that class during everything happening. And so we got to pick her brain a lot. But yeah, I would say generally I've been very happy with the school's response to the pandemic, especially, offering the high flex option. I enjoy the ability to make the decision based on, whatever factors I have going on in my life right now. So that's been great. I'm definitely happy with all the cleaning that is done at the school. So I have chosen to go into the school a couple of times for some of my classes, and I'm very impressed with the level of cleaning and social distancing that is occurring. So I think that's great. We're a school of public health. I think we should be leading by example, and I think Tulane is definitely doing that. But yeah, as far as opportunities, like I said, since I already work at a clinic, I haven't really pursued much as far as like employment through Tulane. However, I do know that there have been a lot of options regarding COVID with that. So maybe Thrish or Daniel could talk a little bit more about that. But I'm in a class this semester called Intro to GIS, which is like a map coding software system. And that professor has worked a lot with the city of New Orleans with COVID data. And so some of the practice sets that we get to work on are actual like COVID data sets. And so that's been really cool, to kind of work with some of that data and see where things are going. But overall, I've been fairly impressed with, the School of Public Health and their response, the university's response in general. The city of New Orleans, I think, is definitely doing the best that they can. There's a lot of moving factors with that. But yeah, that's kind of my general impression of things.
All right. So I'm trying not to echo too much of what Sarah said, so you don't have to hear it twice. But I will say that I would say that there's a certain level of stress associated with, a newer way of classes and then the uncertainty surrounding that. And I will say that the professors I've personally worked with have done a lot to alleviate that. They've been adaptable, they've been understanding. So I think that they made this transition into the high flex model, which was new for all of us, very easy. And I will say they've all been super communicative about it. So when this all happened back in March and we were kind of thrown into it, now we're kind of used to it. I was pretty grateful to be at Tulane, given that a lot of these professors actually had similar-ish experiences post-Katrina because they had still been professors back then. And I think that played into how quickly they were able to adapt and make sure that we as students were still getting the full experience. And so that's what I'll say about that. And then Sarah was right. So I can speak to a little bit of the COVID related opportunities. So something that MPH students will do is a practicum, and it's a graduation requirement. So when this all started, we all had practicums. Mine was international. As I said, that was my interest. And obviously in the wake of COVID, those did not happen. But what was kind of neat was so many of these professors are so involved in different things nationally and internationally that I was able to actually end up doing my practicum assessing the impact that COVID has had on women and adolescent health across Latin America. So, and that was something that was offered to me directly through the school. So through the Career Center, through the professors, they have their hands in a lot. They get invited to do a lot. And honestly, sometimes all it takes is just reaching out to them with a cold email. I've never not gotten a response. And yeah, a lot of them just are doing very cool things regarding COVID. And if that's something that interests people, I would just recommend cold email and they will always get back to you. But yeah, Tulane has offered an abundance of opportunities relating to COVID. And that's been very exciting.
All right, on my end, with COVID at least, the opportunity I had was before the pandemic, I was working on a research study with under Dr. Kissinger. And since COVID happened, we couldn't really do the face-to-face interaction with the New Orleans community. So it switched over to a hydroxychloroquine research study. And it was like one of the bigger national studies for the drug. And it was just like a lot politically and structurally trying to do the study. I learned a lot though about telehealth and the just politics of research. And then on just how Tulane has adapted, I would just like to echo both the responses just now, but also comparing Tulane's strategy on like preventing additional outbreak. It's a lot more proactive than any other universities and like my friends at other schools just telling me what they have. I looked up other universities like COVID dashboard, and it just says this is how many cases we have. Doesn't even say how many active cases and things like that. So just being able to know that the university actually cares and putting out the data and just being clear with the data as well is very helpful. Just, do I feel like going to school today? Let me check the dashboard. Maybe not.
Awesome. So, Brish, you mentioned the practicum that a student will do at the master's level. So, can you guys talk about, have you completed your practicum? Are you looking at opportunities for your practicum? Maybe just kind of talk about what that means to you and about when you're going to do it.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a little bit different. Like I said, I'm on the Masters of Science track. And so we don't do a practicum. You can if you want to, but it's not required for graduation. Masters of Science students actually do a thesis project. And so it's a little bit different, but it can involve a practicum or kind of a culminating experience in which you have an internship and then you can, use some data or a project from that. Also, I apologize if you can hear a dog in the background. It's my sister's dog who is yapping outside the door, so I might go fix that. But yes, I don't do a practicum. I do a thesis. I'll let Thrish talk now.
All right, so I'm in the MPH program. So the practicum is one of the graduation requirements. And basically what it is depending on what track you are, you and your advisor come up with a location, an organization that you're interested in working for. I did mine this past summer. I know people don't do them during the year too. So really it's when you have the time and depending on what you want to do. I was supposed to do mine with an organization in Argentina. And I will actually, let me preface this by saying the Career Center and your advisor are huge keys to this. They make it really easy. I remember coming into the program and being like, oh no, what's a practicum? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what this means. And they kind of break it down for you really well. They help you find organizations based on your interest, whether that's within the country or outside of the country. And then I know I keep plugging this, but I am such a cold emailer, so I'm going to keep plugging this method of getting things done. If there's any professors or staff, anyone that you find interesting, you can also reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a new student. I'm interested in this and this for my practicum. Do you have any ideas or connections that you can put me in contact with? So basically, it's just like a summer internship-esque thing. I don't want to call it an internship. It's summer internship-esque, but it's very much you're tailoring what you want to do, your interests, and hopefully it helps you figure out what you want to do with your degree as well, if that was a helpful explanation. But if not, I can answer questions about that and articulate that a
was
bit
great.
better.
That was great.
And see, I haven't started mine yet, but essentially what that is kind of the same thing as a practicum, except you're in a hospital or a healthcare system, and you're working on different projects and trying to accomplish under the guidance of a preceptor, just like the practicum. But since you're in a hospital, there's a little bit more rules, and it's a way to get your feet wet before actually going out into the healthcare system.
Awesome. So as you guys can see, for those watching, there's a sort of graduation requirement regardless of what track you're going down. Some it's a practicum, some it'll be a different type of project or research opportunity or thesis, but pretty much every track has something that's like a culminating experience that you'll work toward. And again, as you attend the breakout sessions and as you interact with current students like these guys and girls, you will learn more about what that experience means for the track that you're going on. So just to clarify, it might be a little different based on whatever program or specific area of study that you're in. So while we're talking about experiences that aren't necessarily in a classroom, have any of you ever been a teaching assistant, a research assistant, a graduate assistant, or are you one now? Daniel, you've been going last every question, so I know you're a graduate student who works with me in admissions as an assistant. So if you want to start this one off, that would be great. I think you're freezing, or for me, you are. Do either one of you ladies want to go first? And we'll
Yeah,
see.
I can go. I was going to say, yeah, he's frozen for me too.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm currently a research assistant with a parenting study in Tulane's Violence Prevention Institute. And I have been since the semester I started, so last September. The way I heard about this opportunity was actually it was posted in the elevators. So I know that this is going to look a little bit different going forward. However, I'm subscribed to Handshake notifications. So every week tons of things are coming through that, and a lot of professors, especially in the beginning and the ends of semesters, are always looking for research assistants. And also I've had luck actually just emailing a professor that I thought was doing something interesting, asking if they needed someone to do some work on the side as well. So if that's something that you're worried about or thinking about, I would say don't be, because there's so many opportunities to apply as a research or a teaching assistant. And it's just a matter of looking out on Handshake or just reaching out to someone you think is doing something interesting to see if they have any room on their research team.
Yeah, I'll echo Thrish's comments that she's made about cold emailing. Definitely do it. I've done it several times. It works. I pretty much always get responses, just like Thrish said. And that's really cool because Tulane has some really accomplished and really busy professors that are constantly, like jet setting or have lots of different projects everywhere. And they're just really busy people. But they take the time to respond to you, even if it's just an email of like, hey, do you have any work that I could do? I'm interested in this, this, and this. I see you do these things. These are my skills, that kind of stuff. So definitely email them, because even if they don't have something for you to do, they might think, oh, my colleague down the hall needs a research assistant and I'm going to connect you with them. So definitely email professors and just let them know, hey, I'm interested. But so I have had 2 TA positions, teaching assistant positions through the School of Public Health. One was last spring. So that was interesting being a TA when we were, going from in-person to then online. But it was for the computer packages coding course that epidemiology majors take. And then this semester, I'm the TA for Epi 1. So pretty much everybody, I think, has to take that at some point in their degree. So I'm TAing for that class, and and I really enjoy it. I think it's a great way to keep up on my skills, but then it's also a great way to continue my connections as well. And so I get to connect with students in those courses and get to make networking connections with them. So I haven't had any research assistant positions at the School of Public Health, but that's just because I do work part-time outside of the school, essentially doing that, which I really enjoy. And actually, I think my clinic is about to start being enrolled in a study that one of my Tulane professors is doing. So that's kind of cool. I'm hopefully going to get to help out on that and get to work with that. So that's great to have that connection, but that's been my experience.
Daniel, you can take it.
All right, sorry, my Wi-Fi was acting up.
That's okay.
So right now I'm a GA for the admissions office, and prior to that, last year I was also a GA for my department itself. And I also was a TA for a class, but it was the undergraduate class, and a research assistant for the hydroxychloroquine study, but then also another study called Check It NOLA, which is an epi department study, I guess you'll say, and that was looking at STIs and STDs in the Black male population in New Orleans, and just going out in community and working with the HBCUs, barbershops, and other centers, and just enrolling people and getting them tested.
Very cool. So all of you have awesome experience. And whenever I interact with prospective students, just really quickly, I actually always talk about Daniel because during last fall, I believe, or your first semester, I was setting up for one of our open house events, and he came upstairs because he knew open house was happening. And he was already a current student at this point, and open house is obviously for incoming prospective students. But he just offered to help me set in things up, and I didn't need any more help. But I said, well, if you want to come back for lunch, you can eat and chat with some of the prospective students. And so then he started volunteering every open house for our current student panel and for like the chat time during lunch. And when it came time for us to select a new GA and a graduate assistant for our office, you were the first person that popped into my head. So we offered him a position as a graduate assistant in our office. So I said all of that to say that all it takes sometimes, and I think Trish said this, is you just have to ask. You never know what opportunities are out there. Some of them will be told to you via handshake or in our elevators or through email, but sometimes all you have to do, we hadn't posted that that position was open, and we didn't plan on posting it. We wanted to reach out to students that we thought might be interested. So always, always, always ask. I also want to say TAs, teaching assistants, graduate assistants, research assistants, they all could be paid opportunities. They may all be paid with a stipend. Some may be paid hourly. There's a ton of different options for ones that are paid, and the payment process, I guess, for all of them will vary on opportunity by opportunity. So I wanted to say that as well too. So now we've talked about a little bit about academics, your experience on campus, and that kind of thing. Does anyone, can you guys talk about what has being in New Orleans been like? What area do you live in? Kind of maybe life beyond Tulane?
Yeah, sure. I love the city of New Orleans. That was a big part of why I came to Tulane. I had said that already, but yeah, it's a great city. And kind of like the map that you showed earlier, it is a city of neighborhoods. And I feel like each neighborhood kind of has its own sort of flair, its own sort of, vibe. And there's so many great restaurants in New Orleans. Just it's my favorite thing is all the great food and all the different kinds of great food. It's just been amazing to experience all of that. So I live in the Mid-City neighborhood, which is actually very close to the School of Public Health. I have a dog that is what you've been hearing behind me. And so I enjoy walking around all of the neighborhoods in New Orleans. Mid-City is a great area to walk in if you have a dog, or even if you don't, just to walk and run and just be around in. There's a lot of great areas to access. But yeah, so I really enjoyed living in my area of New Orleans. And I will say that I found my housing right before my first year. So not this past summer, but the summer before last, when I knew that I was moving to New Orleans, I joined the incoming and current Tulane Students of School of Public Health, something along those lines, Facebook page. And I was really just joining it to, just keep up with what was going on. But I found my housing through that. And so I've actually stayed in that house. I'll probably stay in it after I graduate. I'm planning to stay in New Orleans for a couple of years after graduation. So I found my home on Facebook. So that's really cool. I definitely recommend that group. There's furniture for sale. Sometimes there's books or materials for sale. There's, you can just post and ask questions of other students, and definitely housing opportunities as well. So yeah, I would say any area in New Orleans is a great place to live. Mid-City is awesome because it's so close and it's walking distance to a lot of things. But I also know that the Uptown and Audubon neighborhoods are also really popular for students as well. So can't go wrong.
Okay. Sorry if you're noticing that there's two of me now. It's because my Wi-Fi was also acting up, so I'm on my phone but videoed on my laptop. So I hope this is working just fine.
Yeah.
So I actually live in the Uptown Garden District area. It's about 2 to 3 miles from the school. However, I used to take the RTA, which is the public transport bus, back and forth, and I never had any issues with that. I found that everything was pretty accessible. I do have my car down there as well, though, so I will say that I benefited from having my car down there, but like the bus system is quite reliable. The streetcar is quite reliable, so that's not something I ever worried about. And I did used to take those both to downtown to get to Tidewater. Like Sarah said, I really love the city. I think the area I live in is quite safe as well. Like I used to go jogging in the evening or early in the morning. I've never felt unsafe doing that by myself. Yeah, again, I just don't want to repeat. I feel bad just repeating everything you say, but like shameless New Orleans plug, the food is incredible. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Perfect.
And I currently stay in well, based on the map, I guess it would be like a mixture of Treme and the Marigny. And that is just like a 5-minute drive to the school downtown. And like that area, I pretty much could go run in the French Quarter for a morning jog or go ride my bike to City Park. Everything is in this area is pretty much accessible by bike, walking, car. It's pretty much very walkable. And last year I stayed in Metairie, and that is more like a suburbs outside of New Orleans, which still would be like a 10 to 20-minute drive depending on traffic. And there you'll have more things like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, a Target, a bunch of movie theaters. A lot more things that you would see outside of the city is located in Metairie.
Awesome. I actually also live across the interstate from Metairie in Elmwood by the Saints practice facility. And it's just like he mentioned, it's away from the city. But if I hop on Earhart and then I get on the interstate for like 30 seconds, it's a 15-minute drive. But there's a ton of stuff near me, but it's just not directly downtown or in the city of New Orleans. So there's a lot of great apartment complexes around this area and in Metairie, as well as rental properties that are pretty affordable. And like he said, especially if you're coming here with a car, that might be a good option. You're still a 10 to 15-minute drive, but you have your grocery stores, you have your car. It's not like you're going to spend a ton on gas, and you're not that far away from the school too. So those are all awesome options. So while we're talking about branching away from campus and living, are there any other really cool activities that you guys are involved in that we haven't talked about? Those can, and it can be on campus, but anything really cool that you've done, related or not related to your degree in the city or the community?
Yeah, so when I moved to New Orleans, like I said, I live in a house that's in Mid City, and it's what is called like a duplex. So there's, one on one side and one on the other. And so my neighbor, the person on the other side, I got to be friends with her, and it turns out she works for a local chapter of of a national service organization, and I got involved with them. So that's completely outside the school of public health. It's, basically just like once a month, the group would get together and do a different service project or service activity. And it's just made up of people that live in New Orleans, so all types of people, not just graduate students. So it was really great for me to just, make friends outside of, being a graduate student, and doing it in a meaningful way. Because like I said, the reason I wanted to come to New Orleans and come to Tulane was to be involved in the community. That's important to me. So yeah, it was a great organization. It's called One Brick, if anybody's like familiar with that or wants to get involved with it. But yeah, it's low key. There's no dues, there's no fees. You don't have to sign up. They don't send you a million emails. Very just kind of grassroots, sort of on the ground organization that, just has a heart for the city. And like I said, it's a national organization, but the local chapter here in New Orleans is run locally and does local things. So it's a great group. I've really enjoyed it, and it was a great way to make friends. So I definitely recommend doing something like that when you get to the city. It's more important now than ever, just because it's hard to connect with people right now because we're all, on Zoom and it's all virtual. So if you have an opportunity to do something in person, obviously in a safe way, definitely try to do that, to connect with people and to connect with the city. So I'd recommend something like that.
Okay, so sort of similar to what Sarah did, something that I did intermittently before the quarantine hit, and I know they're doing it again right now, is I joined this group. Join is like a pretty loose term, you just show up. I joined this group, and it's this little like fitness group. It's called November Project. Some of you actually might have heard of it because I know they have November Project in a ton of cities around the country. I don't know which ones, but some of you might be familiar with it. But basically it's just a group of people that would get together Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings and do some sort of workout. And it's run by people roughly my age, I believe, or like around that age. And they just plan out a workout, you show up, and then it's nice to have like a group of people to, like run laps around the Mercedes-Benz Stadium with, or do stuff like that. I'm also an especially unmotivated gym goer. So it was a lot of fun for me because it made working out fun. And then like sometimes they'd go to breakfast, and it was a nice way to meet people in the city, especially because coming from Michigan to New Orleans was an interesting adjustment. So it's far. I didn't know that many people, and I definitely dragged my roommates to do this as well a couple times, but it is a good time. So if any of you end up going to Tulane, it's called November Project, and I highly recommend it. And it's free. So most importantly.
For me, I've done just like a few things within the school. I'm the vice president of the Student Government Association. And then outside of the school, I joined a organization, professional organization called NASI, which stands for National Association of Healthcare Services Executives. And from there, it's like just a bunch of healthcare executives and professionals within New Orleans, and then sometimes outside of New Orleans, meet once a month, and there are service projects, and it's more like a networking type of thing, a way for professionals to meet each other and talk about just different problems that they're facing every day. And from there, I also had an internship this summer within the organization, but with their Baltimore chapter. So it's a national organization, but it's one, if you're looking into healthcare administration, it's one that you might consider.
Awesome. So as we're wrapping up, I guess, do you guys have like one last piece of advice, or is there anything we didn't cover that you think prospective students should know before we wrap things up? If not, that's okay too.
I would say forgot who said it, but make sure you do reach out to faculty and staff. They're very much there to help you and help you succeed, whether that's in school and you want to get a job out of this opportunity, or you want to go on to PhD level or work within an academic profession. The faculty and staff are really they're just very great at helping you succeed. So outside of admissions, they would definitely put in the work for you once you get here. And even if you're still like considering different avenues, they're still there to help you for admissions and just like try to guide you in the right track. Because I know public health is very broad and everyone wants to do everything, but we really can't.
Great advice.
Yeah, and I would also just recommend checking out the current, what is it, former, current, new and incoming. It's like current and incoming students for Tulane Facebook group also. It's a really good way to meet potential roommates. Alumni are posted in there sometimes as well. So if you do have any questions, you want to know more about the city, you have questions about where to live, that's a really great group to be in. Someone will always respond to you, is what I found. So
Yeah, so I would just say for definitely for Tulane, but really any other schools that you're thinking about, definitely reach out to professors, like Daniel said, but also reach out to current students. I thought the coolest thing about the admission process for me when I was going through of applying to Tulane was that I actually had a student from the department that I was interested in, so epidemiology, just email me and say, hey, I'm a student, I'm a current student, and these are the things that I do. These are the things I'm interested in. Tell me a little bit about yourself, why you're interested in Tulane. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to talk to you about literally whatever, school stuff, where to live, how to find roommates, all that kind of stuff. And that helped ease a lot of my anxiety about the, process of admission, but also moving. And it gave me, a friend, it gave me a face and a name to put with, Tulane School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. And I could say, I know someone there. And then when I came to visit, actually, I got to meet the person that I'd been talking to, which was really cool. And so it felt like, yay, I have a friend. I know someone here that can help me, walk through the process. So definitely email students. You're welcome to email. I definitely speak for myself, and I think I can speak for Thrish and Daniel as well when I say, please email us if you have any questions, or, once you get to New Orleans, if you are like, hey, I need a friend, let us know, and we'd be happy to meet with you, or, whatever. So answer your questions. But yeah, that would be my piece of advice is anywhere that you go, reach out to students as well as professors.
Awesome. If the three of you want to drop your names and email in the chat, that would be awesome. I just put the link for the rest of our departmental sessions. I think epidemiology went today, but all of our other departments, their breakout sessions are happening throughout the day tomorrow. So if you haven't, please go register for those. If you had department specific questions here, I apologize that we can't get to those. But this was our time for you to learn about student life and the experience. And then during those department sessions, you are able to ask your department specific questions and learn more that way. Those department sessions will also be linked probably early next week or the middle of next week at the latest on our website. So if you can't catch those department sessions tomorrow, and if you missed epidemiology today, those will be on our website as well too. But thank you guys so much for attending today. Feel free to email myself or any three of our panelists. We really are here for you. We know it's kind of hard to get to know the school just strictly virtually, but if I need to FaceTime you and give you a tour of our building, we'll do it. So just send us an email, let us know if you need anything, and a virtual round of applause for our panelists, and a sincere thank you to everybody who watched today. Please register for tomorrow, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.